So today, Jesse over at 29 Pedals released a new pedal. It's his Toki. It's a fuzz driver, a fuzzy overdrive fuzz machine. I don't know what exactly to call it because you can get a ton of different sounds and textures out of it. I'm not going to do a proper demo of the Toki today. Instead, I thought I'd do a video just kind of talking about 29 Pedals and about some of the design decisions that Jesse has implemented across the board on his products, starting with the EUNA and stretching on to today's release, and just kind of share some of the reasons why I'm drawn to that sort of design and talk about some of the ways that these design decisions can kind of catalyze creativity, can help us move forward in our writing and our composition and the like. So if you are looking for a video that has sound samples, we're not going to have any in this video. Please check out some of the other demos of this pedal. There's a bunch of them out there today on release day, or go back, rewind the video here and check out the intro sketch, because I really do think that it provides a really nice example of the cross-section, the variety and the versatility of this pedal and the sounds it's capable of. But let's talk about these pedals and talk about some of these devices that like the EUNA doesn't even have a knob on its face. With this new Toki and some of the previous pedals that Jesse has released, there's really more switches and toggles than knobs. In some ways, it can kind of limit the player to the designer's sort of preset points that those switches and toggles select. But on the flip side of that coin, I really think it takes some of the option anxiety and some of the sort of paralysis that comes from having too many knobs with too wide of ranges to be able to dial in your sounds. You can really quickly get to sounds that are fantastic on a lot of these pedals, including Toki. And I'll just talk about this intro sketch that I wrote. It's nothing fancy. It's sort of in the vein of a lot of the stuff I've been enjoying writing recently. But I basically sat down about 2 hours ago in the studio here for the first time and plugged Toki in for the first time to kind of get a feel for what the pedal was about. And within a few minutes, 5 minutes tops, I was finding some sounds with the setup I had put together that I was really enjoying, and that kind of sent me off running down the path of the intro track. And I love that. I love when gear can kind of get out of the way in a sense and let you just kind of flow with your ideas, with your direction of the song and the composition that you're doing. And I think the 29 stuff really does a great job of that, whether it be the EUNA that really just gives you a few options to turn a feature on or off, or a pedal like the Toki that gives you some static switching options in those toggle switches to kind of accent some gain staging and some level control on the knobs. One thing I know about Jesse and the interactions I've had with him and the conversations I've been able to have at different trade shows and things is that he is someone who has really lived and breathed the studio life. He's been working in that world, continues to for decades now, and so there's really a sense and an intelligence in that space and in that world. And I think it really flows through in all the 29 Pedals products. I think that he has a really great sense for gain staging and the way that you can kind of manipulate and adjust and tweak each level and each kind of stopping point that the signal goes through. So the way that he's kind of arranged his interfaces often kind of give you control over input and output stages, and then points in between gain stages to allow you to really kind of fine tune and craft that gain staging within the pedal, and then more broadly within your signal chain. I think that sort of intuition that he brings from the studio world is a really cool infusion into these pedals, and one that once you kind of get up to speed with and start to understand the workflow of his interfaces here, can be a really useful and effective way to create the sounds that you're wanting to get from these pedals. In a lot of ways, it's sort of distilled down into a couple key parameters that you're tweaking, whether it be level or gain amounts at different stages in the circuit, or EQ or tone shaping. So one of the beautiful things about EUNA, I think, is that you really just have really beautifully voiced tone shaping in each of the toggles. I think there's some really magical effects and sounds, albeit subtle, but some of these toggle switches you really miss when they're not on, when they're not around. And when you flip those on, there just kind of is this air and life and presence to your tone that you didn't have before. That kind of shows up in different ways in different of his pedals. But one of the things that was immediately noticeable about Toki is you kind of have that same type of workflow where you can set input level with the trim here, you can set output level with the level knob on the right here, and then you've got your 3 toggles that can kind of just do well voiced slight tweaks to the signal to refine it. You have a capacitance toggle here that will set some of the brightness characteristics of the overdrive, allowing you to have more bright present tones or a warmer kind of rounder sound depending on which stop you're there. You have a pad between gain stages, allowing you to kind of throttle down some of that gain along the way or let all of it pass through. And then you have that gain toggle at the far right to kind of kick you into overdrive, into that higher gain setting if you want those fuzzier, more saturated tones. I think this type of interface and control scheme does require you to put your trust in the designer, that he or she has the ears and kind of the intuition and the design sense that each stop along the way is going to sound good. Each point on the toggle switch will sound good for different contexts. And I think this is one of those pedals where it really plays out to be true, where any of those toggle point stops, any combination, depending on what sound you're going for, is really going to be finely tuned and well voiced and really kind of congruent with the pedal overall. So those are some of my thoughts about 29 pedals and just how we approach and kind of what we can get from pedals like this that ultimately end up having more toggles and switches than knobs, and kind of require you or limit you to a few different almost presets or stopping points, static points along the signal chain there. Check out the new Toki. Like I said, go back and listen to the intro sketch if you want to get some more feel and flavor of the type of drive and fuzz you can get from it, and check out some of the other creators' videos. Mark Johnston has a great video on it. I know Ambient Trash always does good videos too on this type of pedal. And if you're interested in grabbing one of these, I run Little Box Effects, and you can hit the link below to pick one up through the storefront there. Thanks for watching.